This week on Dear Bros, a husband hides whenever he fights with his wife. Stay tuned.
You're listening to Bro Down Podcast all fucking day. Oh, yeah.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Dear Bros. I'm Andy Smith.
I'm Tim Fulton.
This week's topic is Tim's topic. We're just going to get right into it.
We're just going to jump right into it. The Hiding Husband. That's the name that I gave it. But since we stole this from Dear Abby, the actual title of this is called When Going Gets Tough, Husband Locks His Door. I like my title better. So this one...
I'm just going to listen. I'm not going to read.
All right, fine. This week was a little lackluster. So this one, like all of them, they weren't that great. So, yeah, I know.
I'll try to make it exciting.
All right. Dear Abby, when my husband and I fight, which really isn't that often, he shuts himself away for several days. He locks the door to his office or the guest room and won't come out.
For days?
For days. Days. I try to give him time to cool off, but sometimes it's awkward. You think?
A little bit.
We argued about whose turn it was to do the dishes, so I haven't seen him in a fortnight.
To be fair, he probably didn't do the dishes then.
He probably didn't. He wouldn't talk to me at all for several days while his whole family was here celebrating his grandma's 90th birthday.
Okay.
He's mad again. I apologized by text since he wouldn't talk to me, but our kids, ages 6 and 8, are going to wonder why Daddy isn't with us. Should I skip a planned event and give him more time to cool off or try to approach him?
All right, this guy's got something going on.
Right.
Yeah, you got a 6-year-old and 8-year-old, and you're just ghosting your family.
Because you're mad?
Because you're mad. Sounds like he didn't get a lot of discipline as a child. Yeah, this guy's
That's the solution.
Bitch.
Time to start beating him.
Beat him. Send him to his room. Reverse psychology.
Something.
Yeah, I don't even know what to.
See, these are hard because she's not doing anything wrong. So it's not like we can't give advice to the dude because he probably would just lock himself away and start going, I can't hear you.
I think we need to go old school. We need to blame the victim. She's an enabler.
Yeah. So, bitch, what did you do?
What's your fucking problem?
Yeah. No, but really.
Whew. Yeah, this is like one of those weird behaviors where it's so off. It's like so not
common.
It's not like horrible behavior on surface level. So like you don't really know what to do. Take the lock off his door?
I don't know if that's gonna...
No.
He's not a child. You can't do something like that. Like, he's acting like a child, but he's not one.
If he's not talking, she's got to like... I don't know. I wouldn't baby him. I would just start kind of... Maybe just do like even older school and go petty tit for tat and just like start pretending that him doing that has no effect. I don't know. This is a weird one, like, because you're dealing with a childlike behavior.
But yeah, exactly. You're dealing with a childlike behavior, but you can't discipline him like a child.
Yeah, like totally removing yourself from the family for days and locking yourself in the office for like minor arguments.
I'm generally curious what these arguments are.
She said they're minor, right?
I don't know. She's just said that they weren't often.
So they don't argue that often. He needs to go see somebody because when he wouldn't talk to her for several days while his whole family was here celebrating his grandma's 90th birthday. That's a dickhead move. You're making everybody uncomfortable.
Yeah. That's some weird petty.
Yeah, I want to know what these arguments are about.
Even if it was the other way around.
Yeah, like, even if it was her family. That's
it's still...
That's rude. Very rude.
Yeah, that's super rude. I actually don't know which way is worse. But either way, you're punishing a bunch of people for something that they had no involvement in. B, if it is dumb arguments, you're letting nothing get to you. But what does she do to fix it? Like, I don't know if I have a solution here.
I'm kind of stuck on this one. I don't know. This one looks easy on the surface, but I really don't know because you're dealing with somebody who won't even engage in conversation it's not like he's just like blowing his lid, but he's still like talks.
Yeah.
He just like will not engage.
Yeah. We're going to flip the whatchamacallit, the script on this one a little bit. I want to read what Abby has to say, and then we'll see if we can add on to it or discuss it a little bit.
Okay.
Dear Waiting, skip the planned event, and when your passive-aggressive husband comes out of hiding, insist the two of you get marriage counseling to resolve your differences. What he has been doing isn't healthy for your marriage. Well, that I agree with.
Yeah.
Dealing with conflict by hiding and using the silent treatment to punish one's spouse sets a poor example for your children, who are old enough to recognize that something is wrong between daddy and mommy. I don't like that she uses those words.
I switched that.
Yeah. If you won't do it for the sake of your marriage, he should do it for the emotional health of those kids.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think she really knew what to do either, besides send him to counseling. Because this is like, as stupid as this sounds, it does require more than like advice from a friend, because it sounds like there's a lot of layers to what got him to the point where he can't even not just not talk about it in the moment, but he like is so afraid that it's gonna come up that he has to lock himself in his room
And he stews on it, like, clearly.
for days.
Yeah, something's not right there.
Yeah, that's like a different level of like avoiding
Yeah.
awkward shit. Yeah, seek help.
I don't like not giving an answer, so I'm going to say shoot him.
Where? Like a warning shot in the calf?
I was going for a kill shot, but that might do it too.
Well, divorce maybe then. So that
No, if you do it right, you can collect on that money. Life
gunshots usually
All right,
raise questions.
fine. Poison.
Poison them.
No one will suspect a thing then.
Yeah, you picked a sleeper. This was a sleeper.
You're asleep. All right, let's see if we can find a better one real fast.
Just scroll to the next one right here.
Old friend preps for touchy subjects. I read this one. It's crappy. We're going to do it anyway, though. All right, Dear Abby, I will be meeting an old high school friend for lunch. We are now in our 50s. I heard through the grapevine that she has never had children. So you already don't talk a lot if you're in your 50s and you had to hear through the grapevine that she hasn't had children.
They're from the pre-social media age.
That's true.
So like when they hear stuff like that, it's considered gossip still.
Gotcha.
It's not like you can find that out just by going on her Facebook.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
I am unsure what to say when the subject of children comes up, as it invariably will. I'm sorry may not be appropriate because
Wow.
perhaps she never wanted
Wow.
any. Whoa, or interesting may seem a bit odd. In a similar vein, what does one say to someone when they share that they are divorced? I recall a woman I met telling me she was divorced. I said, I'm sorry, and she replied, I'm not. What's an appropriate response for when these situations happen? I don't want to appear unsympathetic, but perhaps they don't want sympathy. So, funny story really fast. I remember I had bought a condo years ago that I rented out. And the first couple of nights I stayed there myself. I had a friend over. We had a bottle of wine, as a, I don't want to say a housewarming thing because it wasn't going to be where I lived. But anyway, long story short, I didn't have anything there. So I went to the neighbor upstairs, knocked on his door, and asked if I could borrow a bottle opener. And he goes, "Oh, I don't drink." And my immediate response was, "Oh, I'm sorry."
I don't know the past history, so I'm going to go with I'm sorry statistically. Statistically, I am sorry.
Yes.
Outlier, I'm not.
Good for you.
Good for you. But I still need bottle opener.
We used the pen.
Yeah, so like first of all, she's granted everybody does this, but she's like clearly looking at this from only her own head. Like a lot of people don't have kids because they don't want kids.
Yeah.
So like if you say I'm sorry to somebody like that, it can go wrong. It can come off wrong more times than it can come off right. Because if she had like problems or there was a big issue, then her saying I'm sorry will be taken as like I appreciate that. But if she didn't want kids or whatever, or whatever the case.
Yeah, whatever the case.
That's going to be taken as like, oh, you automatically think that
this is bad.
that this is bad. And like, who the fuck are you to say that?
Yeah.
Like, why would you say that?
It's one of those things. I get the awkwardness and like the desire to know proper language, but at the same time, you're probably overthinking it. First off, she doesn't have kids, so how is the subject going to come up? Is she going to be like, "Hi, I can't believe I haven't seen you in all these years. I'm barren."
Yeah.
Like, like it's going to immediately turn into an SNL skit with Debbie Downer.
Yeah. No, but it just be like, oh, like, so do you have kids? Like, I'm assuming they haven't spoken in that long.
I would
so
think,
it'd
yeah,
be like,
that's
yeah,
what
you
it
know, I
sounds
got X amount and blah, blah. Like, what about you? And it's like, so like, no kid. Just like, oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Like, okay. Like, if you really don't have an opinion on it, just respond like you don't have an opinion on it. But it sounds like you have an opinion on it.
Or just, or just go like totally passive aggressive when she's just like, no, I don't have kids. Just be like, oh, that was another way to go, I guess.
It was like, oh, I guess that's right for some people.
Yeah.
Like,
the,
damn.
For the other kind of people.
Yeah. And then the divorce thing, the I'm sorry, like, unless you like, I'm sorry implies like a bunch of, it could imply a couple things. Number one is that like you didn't want it to end in divorce, because like no happy marriage ends in divorce. Like statistically, like nobody's like we're really happy together. Let's just break this off. So like I get the thing where she's like, I'm not, meaning like, no, there was a reason why.
Yeah.
You don't have to get into the reason why, but there's a reason why they got divorced. You could say something like, oh shit, like, you know, how was that? Was it rough, or was it like you guys okay? Like, but like the I'm sorry implies like fucking loser.
So,
Couldn't even keep your husband.
No, I get the I'm sorry, because at some point, like you were saying, no happy marriage.
I'm sorry you
divorce.
went through that, maybe better. I'm sorry you had to go through something like that.
That's fair. That's fair. I agree with that.
Yeah, the regular I'm sorry is left a little bit too open.
Fair. All right. Abby says, Dear Sympathetic, you may have hit on something. The birth rate in the United States is at an all-time low because many women have chose to forego motherhood. If someone tells you she doesn't have children, all you have to say is, oh, and change the subject. I don't have any children. Oh, did you see that they have a new type of peanut butter?
Yeah, pretty much though, right?
Yeah, I guess. What else do you do? You should not interrogate the person further. As for the subject of divorce, sometimes dissolution of marriage is therapeutic. Do not ask for or expect more details. Show an interest in what your old friend is doing now and move on from there. Yeah.
I will say that, you know, people who like when they hear something, they have like not like an obsessive need or whatever. I think it's just a knee-jerk reaction need to always want to hear more. Those are the people that puts people on guard sometimes.
Yeah.
Whereas if somebody was just like, oh, I went through a divorce, like, you know, sorry I had to go through that, man, or whatever. And it's like, if you just leave it as like, hey, listen, we don't got to talk about it if you don't want to talk about it. And if you do, cool. More people are kind of susceptible to being like, well, you know, because they kind of expect that you have no expectations of them, what they have to give you.
I will say, and it depends on your relationship with the person,
100%.
but I will say that since we're on the conversation of like dialogue and like where to manage that kind of thing,
Yeah.
that it can be tricky. And I see myself having issues with this because like there are times when you don't want to seem like, oh, I got a divorce, and you're just like, give me the play-by-play. What happened?
Yeah.
Give me the juicy gossip. But at the same time, you don't want to be like, don't care, moving on. Like,
Yeah.
like there is a trick to like being somewhere in the middle where you want to seem sympathetic and like be like, if you want to talk about it, we can, but you don't have to if you don't want. Like,
Yeah, you have to
not so many words.
Yeah, it's almost like you have to like open the door like halfway.
Yeah.
And be like, door's open, but I'm not gonna come in. You want to come in here? That's fine. But
Just to warn you, I'm naked.
yeah, but you're right though. There is that thing where if you pry, it usually makes people defensive.
Yeah.
Because they feel like they have to answer like pedigree information.
Yeah.
Or you're gonna or they're like not gonna take your side or whatever. Or on the other hand, if they're like, oh cool, so like when's the game start?
Yeah.
They're gonna be like, oh, you're totally disinterested in hearing about this, so I'm not gonna tell you about something that was really difficult.
Yeah.
If you're just gonna be like looking at your phone.
It's a seesaw. Like,
Yeah.
It's a weird balancing act to get it totally right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Unless the person just wants to talk about it all the time, every day, all day.
And then you just avoid them forever.
Exactly.
That was anything else before we get out this bitch?
No, we can get out this bitch right now.
Don't swear on my podcast. All right, guys, let us know what you think about these stories in the comment section down below. What would you tell the woman with the husband who locks himself away? Like, is there anything she can do? What would you do if you were in that situation?
Grow up, Peter.
What do you think is the correct response when someone says they either do not have children, well, after most people normally do, or if they've gotten divorced or some other awkward conversation starters, something, I don't know, whatever. Go to brodownpro.com. We're coming out with new stuff all the time. We got these stories from Dear Abby. You can find her yourself by Googling Dear Abby. We don't just want to rip things from her. We want to give her free advertisement as well. Yay. Peace out.
Thanks for all the content, Abs.
You're listening to Bro Down Podcast all fucking day.